After watching Manchester United defeat West Ham by 2-1 at MetLife Stadium, I can see that United are improving. Players do look sharper, and there's a greater fluidity of movement. And with a few more games of preseason, there is still time to refine tactics and remove rustiness. As always, there's still things to work on, but that's what preseason is for. I wanted to share with you guys what I noticed by breaking it down into 4 different categories. Their defensive actions, pressing, movement, and intention. Okay, let's start with Manchester United's defensive actions in this game. There were a lot of standout performers today on the defensive side of the ball for United. Obviously, Kobbie Mainoo and Manuel Ugarte were instrumental in our press. They were instrumental in pressing up high, man-marking West Ham so they couldn't build out from the back. But I want to give some praise to Matthijs de Ligt because, man, he is just proving time and time again that he is miles better than Harry Maguire for this system. I know that Harry Maguire suits being at the center of a 3-back, but Matthijs de Ligt just reads the game better. He's quicker, he anticipates better, he's stronger in the tackle, and he has recovery speed, which Harry Maguire really does not have. Now, I know this is a preseason match, so we're still trying to work things all out, but I'm going to put some clips up right now if I haven't already. Matthijs de Ligt is just so much better at reading the game, so much better at sniffing out danger before it happens. I think a lot of times last season we saw, and maybe not even just last season, a lot of times just ever since Harry Maguire has been a United player, where there are times where he's just left in no man's land. He doesn't really have somebody he's marking. He's kind of just occupying a space and not really dealing with any danger, incoming or present. So it's kind of refreshing to see Matthijs de Ligt in this way, just being so much more of a defensive wall, a defensive rock. And I think that Harry Maguire can still be effective for Manchester United just from the bench. Like, he has to come on later, like he did in this game, with 20 minutes to go and just be a rock in defense when the opposition are a bit tired or running out of ideas. I think that works better for him. But if we want to set the tempo of a game, if we want to start on the front foot, de Ligt is just proving that he has to be at the center of our 3 at the back. And I'm going to talk about it more, obviously, but Leny Yoro is also just a fantastic player. They complement each other very well. I think their skill sets are very, very important for the way that we want to build up as well. But before I get into Leny Yoro, I want to talk about our defensive shape and how I noticed that in this game we really used a narrow way of defending to try and frustrate West Ham. Now, I feel like a lot of that is because of West Ham's formation. They were really using their wingbacks high up the pitch to try and create width. And they had Bowen and Füllkrug as their 2 strikers, as a sense. So I think that helped us. I think Amorim, game by game and case by case, is kind of learning and adapting to all these Premier League teams and tactics and such. But as I move this clip forward, you'll see that Ugarte is in a position where he's kind of like a roaming enforcer, where he's just attracted to the ball and he's going to try his best to sniff out danger and win the ball back. And this really helps our defensive shape because, look, as Ugarte goes towards the ball, Leny Yoro immediately senses this danger from Souček. He doesn't want to leave Souček in this space. So as Leny Yoro engages, West Ham are forced to go backwards. And we still have maintained our shape, even though Leny Yoro has engaged in this situation. Cunha is kind of just waiting to see what happens with the play, which is good. Manchester United are able to force West Ham to recycle, all while still maintaining this very rigid shape. It's narrow. Our 10s are sitting very narrow, not really giving West Ham a lot of options to try and move in the middle of the pitch. So it forces them to go out wide. As soon as the ball gets to Todibo here in this position, Bruno Fernandes is like, okay, I'm triggering this press. I'm starting this press. Because there's really nowhere for West Ham to go down the middle of the pitch. As this ball gets played in and it gets played back, boom, Bruno already starts his press. And this is important. It kind of tells us that Manchester United are looking to be aggressive. As soon as they sense that West Ham are on the back foot, they spring into action. As Todibo gets this ball back, look at what Cunha does, which I think is really impressive. And it really separates us from last season, where our press was just so disjointed. And I'll get into that. Don't worry. I'll get into that later in the video. But as soon as the ball gets played here, Cunha's first thought is to go and press his man over here, to continue this pressing action that Bruno Fernandes has started, that Rasmus Højlund will continue, and that Matheus Cunha will ultimately end up finishing. And as the ball gets to his man, there's no options here for him to play into. There's not a single player he could play into where it would be a high percentage look, a high percentage pass. So it forces him to take a couple extra touches. It forces him to kind of think twice. And Matheus Cunha is already in his face and wins the ball back. So this is something that I really noticed throughout the entire game. This is just one clip that I wanted to specifically isolate because it really showed me that Manchester United are getting better in the timing of their press, in the intensity of their press. And it's unified, it's united, it's not divided, which is really good to see after years of just terrible pressing movements, just getting played around like we're schoolboy kids. It's really nice to see Manchester United finally getting into a rhythm and identity of how they want to play on both sides of the ball. Now, remember how I told you guys that Amorim loves to use his wide center backs to kind of be extra playmakers. Sometimes we'll completely bypass our midfield too and use the left or right center back to create width with a long pass. Now, we've seen Lisandro Martinez do it in kind of the short cameos that he had before his injury under Ruben Amorim. And now we're seeing Lenny Yoro do it to great effect. I didn't realize that Lenny Yoro had such an excellent passing range until this preseason, which is another indicator of why preseason is just so important for managers, for players. They need to get used to a system, used to an identity, a way of playing. And we couldn't do that last season at all because Amorim was basically trying to figure out his best 11 through trial and error in games that actually matter. But now we have these preseason friendlies where we can learn and we can understand how players, what their tendencies are. And Lenny Yoro has such a great ability for a switch. It's actually kind of terrifying because when him and Lisandro Martinez, when they're both fully healthy and they're both in that starting 11, we have so many options now in terms of creativity. We don't always have to rely on Bruno Fernandes. Now we have players like Cunha and Mbumo who are ball players. But we also have ball-playing center backs who can actually quicken our tempo and not slow it down. So I've put some clips up already, if I haven't already, of just Lenny Yoro being impressive with his long switches. His vision is pretty impressive. His weight of pass is also very good for a center back. It kind of puts players into a position where they can take the ball into their stride instead of it kind of being behind them. I mean, obviously, he's still a center back. Not every pass is going to be like Toni Kroos. But it's impressive to see that Lenny Yoro is doing these things in preseason, and I cannot wait to see how he implements it when the season starts, when it actually matters. So now I'm about to show you guys just a few clips of exactly what I mean when I say that Manchester United was doing a good job of restricting the space for West Ham to build up into and forcing them into a lot of errors. So in this clip, you'll see that as soon as the ball gets played to Areola, Bruno Fernandes is already starting the press. He wants to engage Areola and not allow him to have the time on the ball to find a better option further up the pitch. So he has to play it into James Ward-Prowse. And as you can see, James Ward-Prowse is running in. But who's running with him? It's Kobbie Mainoo. Like, Manchester United were not giving West Ham any time or space on the ball in a majority of the spells of this game, especially when West Ham were trying to build up from the goalkeeper. So as the ball comes into Ward-Prowse, I'm sure he checked over his shoulder. He knows he has no time to take a touch and try and look for somebody. Immediately plays it into Todibo. And at this point, they're currently off camera. But at this point, Wan-Bissaka is being marked by Patrick Dorgu. So it gives him no time on the ball as soon as he receives it. Once he gets it in this point, Manchester United are still aggressively man-marking. There's a player for every single West Ham player. There's not really many options to pass to. And it forces Wan-Bissaka into playing a kind of difficult pass into Souček. And when I say difficult, I don't mean the actual execution of it. I just mean the fact that it's going to be tough for Souček to receive the ball, have the time to make the correct decision, especially with Ugarte pressing down on him. So with Ugarte pressing down, he wins the ball back. And this is something that he did time and time again in this game. This is the type of Ugarte that I want to see week in and week out. Now that we don't have European competition, there is no excuse for this guy to show up and give us a 7 or 8 out of 10 every single game. And I'm not even talking about scoring goals. I'm not even talking about creating. His best attribute is his anticipation and his effectiveness in winning the ball back. Like, those are his best attributes. And we've seen it here. Now, the play is going to speed up because West Ham are recycling the ball. But you see Kobbie Mainoo aggressively going to engage Areola so that he doesn't have time, like I said, to just bomb the ball up the pitch and give West Ham kind of a breathing space. So he has to play it out wide. He's forced to play it out wide. And right now, obviously, they're off camera again. But it's actually Nicholas Füllkrug who's in a bunch of space here once the ball gets to him. But who is it once again who's just reading and anticipating the danger? It's Manu Ugarte, who takes the ball off easily from Füllkrug. And Manchester United now have another phase of play. This is just another example, once again, of Manchester United restricting that space and not allowing West Ham to build up effectively. This is a situation where Wan-Bissaka gets the ball on the right-hand side. Dorgu immediately goes to engage. And this is perfect. This is exactly what you want. Off screen right now, Jared Bowen is trying to create the space, as I'm sure what Wan-Bissaka sees that this open space is there for the taking. I believe this is Guido Rodriguez. He's going to run into the space to try and create, a passing option, a passing lane. But like I said, Jared Bowen is coming off screen. He's coming to receive the ball. But look at Ugarte. This is just another thing that I love about this guy. He's so good at reading this space, this empty space that doesn't seem like there's danger, but he's so good at sniffing it out before it even happens. As soon as this ball gets played into Jared Bowen, look at Ugarte. He knows that Bowen is going to try and make this layoff. And what happens? Boom, he's there in the right position to steal the ball back. This is what we need from Manchester United every single week if they want to be competing at the top of the league, competing against the top teams. Obviously, this is still a work in progress, but if you want to be the best of the best, you have to have these attributes. You have to be quick. You have to be quick, physical, good anticipation, good determination, good intensity about the game to unsettle your opponents. And that's what we were doing time and time again in the first half and for about the first 15 to 20 minutes of the second half. James Ward-Prowse gets the ball, and as you can tell, a lot of these are identical. These are different clips, but they're all identical in the way that we're pressing, in the way that we're suffocating them, forcing them to make these errors. Once again, James Ward-Prowse being pressed by Menu has to make this pass into Todibo. Todibo gets the ball, immediately has to get it out of his feet because Cunha is bearing down on him. Now, Wan-Bissaka is out of picture right now, but Dorgu is marking him. And it's another situation where Wan-Bissaka has to take an extra touch because every single player that is supposed to be an option is being marked. I know Rodriguez is in open space here, but to make this type of pass is just risky. No professional footballer will really do that unless it's an extremely open option. But Ugarte is doing the right thing here. He's closing down this space because the immediate option for Wan-Bissaka is to pass to Souček or to try and just clear the ball with his left. So as he tries to play it into him, Ugarte is just there. He's there, he wins the ball back, and it's another situation for United where they were just completely shutting down West Ham. Now, here is the bad side. This is where the press gets beaten, it gets bypassed, and Manchester United are just defensively open. Shades of last season for sure. Now, Ward-Prowse gets the ball here, plays it into Wan-Bissaka. It's a similar situation once again to all the plays that I've shown you. This time, Souček is open completely to receive the ball. No defensive opposition because Menu and Ugarte are being taken out by this high press. And you'll see later on, right after this play, that it cost us a goal. It cost us a goal in the second half. As Wan-Bissaka takes his time to play this ball into Souček, who is still unmarked, he gets the ball into Souček, and this is kind of the downside of Ugarte. He kind of gets attracted to it and kind of forgets the responsibility of his man. This was who Menu was pressing, but because Menu had to switch off, Ugarte just gets attracted to the ball too easily here, and James Ward-Prowse is able to get free. And look at this. Look how stretched we are in this position. And James Ward-Prowse ended up trying to make a ball to Füllkrug. I mean, it was a fantastic ball. It was just a little too heavy, but a more precise ball. And Füllkrug would have been in. We would have been completely just taken out of the game in this situation. So stuff like that can happen for Manchester United. And this is the goal that we conceded. A similar situation once again. The ball gets out to Todibo. And a lot of these they're all similar. Manchester United was forcing West Ham into these things. I feel like a lot of this game was, yes, Manchester United playing well defensively, pressing intensely, going forward with attacking intent. But West Ham kind of also played into our hands a little bit. They weren't playing as well as they should have or could have, I think. And I know that certain personnel weren't in the game from the start. Doesn't matter. You play what's in front of you. I just think that West Ham definitely did play into our hands a little bit. But in this situation, Todibo does really well. Just a good bit of individual skill. And once again, because Ugarte and Menu are very occupied with West Ham's build-up phase, they're very occupied with trying to stop West Ham from playing short passes, intricate passes around them. They just kind of forget Souček. Like, there was many times in this game where Souček was just left alone on an island. And it should never be this way. But unfortunately, it was. And because of that, Souček gets acres of space. I mean, this is like Erik ten Hag level midfield. This is bad. Like, this is so bad. And because De Ligt is never going to engage this. He's going to get caught out of position. So he does the right thing here. But it just leaves us with this humongous gap. And that is still something that needs to be trialed and tested. Because this cannot be happening in the Premier League. This cannot be happening during the Premier League season. We need to iron this out immediately. But this is what preseason is for. It's for trying things out, seeing what goes wrong, and seeing how you can fix it, bandage it up, and go into the season unscathed. Now, the next thing that impressed me was the overall movement and tempo that United displayed. I really thought it was impressive seeing how the players were able to interchange positions so fluidly. They were able to really disrupt and just upset the West Ham defense, causing a lot of confusion because players would be switching in and out of positions. And I'm about to show you in a couple of clips now just how well United did in terms of this. Last season we saw a lot of rigid play, a lot of very one-dimensional football, but now it seems like the players are kind of understanding and really coming to grips with the system that Ruben Amorim has brought into the club. These are just a couple of clips that I wanted to show you that really, emphasize this point that I'm trying to make. As soon as the ball gets into Bruno Fernandes here, he looks into Kobbie Mainoo. And one thing I like about Mainoo, he's so good at disguising passes. Even though it looks like his body language is telling the West Ham players he might want to drive into the space or look for somebody, he knows he's going to give it back to Bruno Fernandes. And as soon as Bruno Fernandes gets the ball back, boom, we're playing with more tempo, more intensity. He plays the ball into Matheus Cunha, who immediately goes for a 1-2 with Ugarte, sensing and recognizing that his player is in a position to play this pass and to also run into the space and receive it. Great from Matheus Cunha, something that we've really, really lacked. Just the ability that he possesses on the ball, his movement off the ball. I mean, it's just miles ahead of Garnacho, miles ahead. And something that I'm really looking forward to seeing alongside Bryan Mbeumo. So he plays his ball into Ugarte and boom, receives the ball again. It's just great play for Manchester United, getting them into a position, moving around West Ham, and really unsettling them, drawing players out of position to open up space, essentially. This is a great example of that. As Leny Yoro gets on the ball here, this is Kobbie Mainoo in the right wing back position. Ahmad has moved into the 10 for now. Bruno has moved into like that 8, where Ugarte is kind of just being that patroller, waiting and to see and break up plays. So as the ball gets into Kobbie Mainoo here, it's another situation where, United are kind of just, the body language is kind of, like nobody's really looking to move forward. But boom, as soon as the ball gets played into Ahmad, boom, Kobbie plays that disguising pass, 1-2, quick football. It's interchanging, it's great. Now there's a bunch of space for Matheus Cunha, who Todibo is kind of struggling with, do I engage, do I not? But you can't leave someone like Cunha with so much time and space on the ball. So when the ball gets to him, Todibo has no choice but to engage because nobody else can engage Cunha. And that takes this huge space that Todibo has left and gives us the opportunity to attack. And the individual brilliance of Cunha to just beat Todibo off the first touch, that's what we've seriously lacked. Like, we've really lacked ball players like this, players who can just take players out of the game. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is just the intention, the attacking intent, the aggressive intention, the aggressive nature of our play today. Just wanting to be on the front foot, wanting to dominate, wanting to suffocate, and just suppress the West Ham buildup in order to supplement our own buildup, in order to supplement our own attacks, to give us time to breathe, to not allow us to always be on the back foot and to be chasing again. I thought the intent was excellent today. I'll put up a clip right now of Ahmad's offside goal that kind of proves my point, that even though it eventually turned up offside, just look at the willingness of Manu Ugarte to win the ball back, drive forward, play a progressive pass, and for Ahmad to just take it first time and shoot. Like, this is what United have really lacked. Just tempo, urgency, a lack, or trying to actually attack and score goals. And in this game, the thing that I got from it was that United just wanted to score more than 1 or 2. They wanted to keep going and keep scoring more and really pile the pressure on West Ham. Obviously, we conceded, and I think this is good, because it shows us that maybe sometimes too much attacking intent can leave us vulnerable. And this is good. These are things that I want to see in preseason. Obviously, I want my team to always win. I want them to always play well. But if you can identify weaknesses now, it's just going to make the start of the season even better. The players already look sharp. They're going to get sharper. They're going to get more match fit. But we're obviously going to have to wait and see to what the players do, how they respond. And if we can get a fully fit squad, obviously barring Lisandro Martinez, who still has to return. If we can get a fully fit squad for the start of this Premier League campaign, I'm pretty convinced that Man United will actually offer a lot more trouble to some of the bigger clubs than they might think at first. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Obviously, I was a little bit late because I was on vacation, but I still wanted to make an in-depth analysis to just kind of gauge where you guys' head at. It's been 2 days now since the game. So I just wanted to see what you guys think about this. What do you guys think about us going into our next few preseason games? Are you feeling more confident now that the players seem to be gelling correctly? Everything seems to be kind of working in line with Amorim's system. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and as always, have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys either tomorrow or Wednesday when the game against Bournemouth kicks off. So we'll talk soon. Have a good one, guys.